So I never knew Great Grandpa. Can you guys talk a little bit about what he was like? Because he's in here quite a bit. I'm just kind of trying to get an idea of who the man was.
Which one, Murphy?
Yeah, your grandpa.
William.
He liked Tim best.
I mean, who doesn't?
That's because I like trains. He was a
Fishing.
train guy.
I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm just kind of curious because Aunt Patty, there's like some footage of you where like you seem close to him.
I barely remember him. He
Really?
was quiet.
He was very quiet.
He seems quiet.
He was quiet, and he loved to give money to his grandchildren and stock too.
And go down to Trent Avenue and give money to the retired railroad pensioners that were
He'd
sitting
go down
around
looking for guys he worked on the railroad with, and if he found them, he'd give them some money. He always did that.
Is he the one that used to go, we used to go over there for dinner?
Yeah.
Is that where they lived, over by Gonzaga?
Indiana.
In Indiana.
We used to go over there all the
Baldwin
time.
was-
I used to stop coming back
Baldwin
from Chris.
Before they moved to Indiana.
They moved
They
from
lived down
Baldwin.
Baldwin.
When I was born, they wanted a new house for me. So I moved up onto Shoshone. They built that house for me. You were down on Baldwin and you ran away down to the river and were saved naked in the river. And so they moved off of Baldwin. Baldwin was, I think it was Grandma and Grandpa's house they were
Yeah.
living in.
It's
I've
still
got a
there.
I've got a picture of that. I went down and looked at it not long ago.
For real? They
Told-
bought a new house because it was, Mike almost drowned? That really is,
No, I think it was because they wanted a new one for me.
oh,
2 children. I always told everybody, I told our kids, I said, see that house? There's where I was conceived. Probably.
But they built a new house for me too,
Yes, you
Oh,
don't.
no, no.
don't you-
I love the old
Build you a
pictures of
bigger
Grandpa
one.
Murphy.
much bigger.
Because I remember, I was young when he died too. I think I was about 10. And I remember him as an older man. But he was, he always dressed up. And he was quiet. But in the pictures, in this video, I see him as a young man carrying babies around. And I never knew him that way.
I didn't either.
But he was kind, and he was generous, and he was a wonderful man.
And he was an elk.
And he was an elk.
His elk's tooth here in the
Yeah.
vest.
That's right. Oh, he had a
I-
pocket watch.
I think I have that.
Oh, I forgot.
I think I've got his.
And did he come to Spokane because of the railroad, right? He was working on the.
He was working on the railroad.
He sold his shovel when he inherited some money. He bought a shovel with the money he inherited off of Grand Rapids. And then he came over here working his shovel.
Okay.
Dug basements, dug the Paulson building. And then he got a road job up by Keller Ferry and finished the road job, and somewhere along the line evidently decided that there was more money in this new concrete business than there was. So in 1930, he sold the shovel and started building the plant on Division Street.
With Bill Kellogg.
No.
No, Kellogg wasn't there? Okay.
Kellogg was there shortly, but Kellogg was a mechanic.
Well, I don't have to keep you guys here too long. So better keep moving. We have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So the Geyer family shows up in this film too. And so what's the relation to the Geyer family? How did they become friends of the family?
I never saw the Geyer family in the film. I looked for them.
Well, they were there.
They
Oh,
were
I
there.
didn't.
The reason is that my mother, Lucille, and Lucille Geyer were both orphans, well, sort of.
They were
and
called the
were-
two Lucys.
The
They
two
were like
Lucys, and they were
sisters.
sent to live with
Aunt
Aunt
Mary.
Mary Raftus because they didn't have mothers, and so they grew up together. They were like sisters.
And they saw each other all the time because they lived close by, like 8 blocks apart. And Lucille Geyer would come every afternoon, and she and Mom would go and visit. They were bonded.
They were like that. They
Yeah.
talked every day.
Yeah.
They slept in the same bed when they were in Aunt Mary Raftus's.
So the other
I
family that
didn't know
shows
that.
up a lot is
And-
the Moore family.
Lucy Lynch went to
Um,
bed.
I've known the Moore families like from Priest Lake, but how did that connection start?
That was Dad and Tom Moore were fraternity brothers at WSU. They were both betas,
Okay.
and they were very close. They did some business together down there. They were in the flower business, I think.
Well, they were trying to make enough money to go to school, and they
Yeah.
sold boutonnieres, and then they
Yeah.
had a load of cabbage once that they had to get rid of. But they struggled, it was the Depression, to pay for school, and that's how they met. They were entrepreneurs together.
And then Priest Lake seems to have kind of been a big part of what kept that?
Well, once we started going up there, Dad invited them up because they were best friends. And then
they were in
they
this-
came up every summer, just like when Danny and I started out, you know, the Deserals came up every
Right.
summer, and sort of the same way.
Okay.
Except they lived in Portland, the Moores lived in Portland.
And Max Sather, is there a relation there to the Moore, because Dave Sather is part of the Moore family, right? Is there, like,
No, he's
No.
part of the Sather family.
okay,
He-
He's Max and
His
Virginia's
mother
son.
married,
okay.
Max and Virginia and Art and Donna Jean, both Sathers, ran Sather
Sather
brother.
Brothers.
Yeah,
It was
they're road
construction.
builders, big road builders.
And Max is who?
Max
Sather,
is Art's brother.
okay.
Art and Donna Jean aren't in it, but Max, and they just ended up being very close friends with Mom and Dad.
Okay.
They
Well,
did.
the other one was Aunt Patty, like your Aunt Patty.
Patty Bureau.
Yeah.
Namesake.
Yeah, I know, it gets confusing. But are we still in touch with that family and the twins?
I get Christmas cards from them every year.
Yeah, I used to
Yeah.
see them because I lived in Seattle, so I visited, I became very close with Aunt Patty. And so then when I moved to Seattle, I would see Mary and Kathy because they lived there. But since Aunt Patty died, they've all moved away from Seattle and Issaquah where they lived. And so I don't see them anymore, very much anymore.
That would be the
But I know
twins.
how to contact them,
Yeah.
and I get
Her first
Christmas
children
cards
were
too.
twins.
Well, we
And-
get
and
Christmas
her-
cards.
Because they're in here. so-
Her husband, Bus Bureau, was on the board of Central Premix and made sure every quarter that we issued a dividend.
I guess that brings into another question, the Bureau family, because you pointed that out.
Yeah, the twins in the
Yeah,
video
the
are
video.
Tom, Denny, and then they had Mary, Eileen, and Kathy. They had 4 children, and they went to Holy Rosary Parish. They're from West Seattle, and we would come over and see them now and then, but more often they came to Spokane to see Grandma and Grandpa, her mother,
Okay.
and Dad.
Um,
But they were wonderful people.
See, Aunt Patty was Dad's little sister.
Oh, yeah. I
And she
get
was a
that.
nurse, too.
Okay.
And Sister Mariana was his older.
No.
Mariana was the older sister.
Yeah. What rank did Grandpa have in the military? Because he's in uniform a lot. Did he fight in World War II? Did
He was
Grandpa?
in Washington DC doing procurement, I believe, and he was in the Navy.
Okay.
Is that?
He was drafted into the Navy and worked in an office.
no, I heard that he signed up and people made fun of him because he didn't have to go. He had 3 sons.
Well, maybe he was signed up, I'm not sure.
And Max, not Max Sather, but he felt a very patriotic duty, but he didn't have to go. And it was the best time of our mother's lives. She always said that because she had 3 little boys and she moved to Washington DC and she had full-time childcare.
Wow.
And there's a little bit of footage about, it looks like you guys are all learning to ski somewhere. Where was that? Remember, Mike, you're on a rope
I think it's
tow.
Mount Spokane.
I think that's Mount Spokane.
When there was a chairlift.
Well, there was a rope
I mean,
tow.
I meant the rope tow, yeah.
They had 2 of
There
them.
was also a rope tow at Downriver Golf Course.
Well,
Really?
Oh.
I
You
don't,
see it.
I didn't know that.
See if you can figure out
I
which
wondered
one it
if it
is.
might be Indian Canyon at first.
That's the one I meant.
That's right.
Yeah.
There
Well, I
was
meant
one. I
Indian
forgot
Canyon.
about that.
Was there a rope? I didn't know that.
I didn't know.
Yeah, there was. I remember that.
Well,
So without further, I'll get it
Okay.
started. Quick question that I didn't ask. A lot of us didn't know Lucille. Can you kind of give me the 411 on Grandma Lucille, your mom?
What's a 401?
Like a couple tidbits, because I never knew her.
What's a 401?
Information.
That nobody
That's
has
by the
heard of.
coffin on the right.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
in Denny's basement.
Yeah, it is.
But what was her favorite thing to do? Well, she's at the lake a lot sunbathing.
she didn't do any sports so
Didn't
much,
do anything.
but she was one hell of a good mother.
Yeah.
She cooked and took care of us.
Yeah,
And she
she's
didn't
a-
have much fun time at the lake. You didn't see her on the beach very often because she was up cooking.
Yeah.
Or in the cabin cleaning.
And there was a wood stove that she was cooking
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of work. And there was nowhere to buy stuff. You had to bring everything you needed with you, and she was cooking for a lot of people all the time.
But
A lot of
every
demanding
people. Yeah.
Friday or Saturday night, Mom and Dad and Tom and Marge would go out to dinner, and that was their big thing. And then they left us home to fend for ourselves and try to kill each other.
And Mom loved to dance. They would go to Elkins, they'd go to Linger Longer, not Elkins. They went to Linger Longer.
Or
and
Van's Corner.
and danced.
I
When she
remember
was
dancing
happiest.
with Mother at Van's Corner to squash along the Yukon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, thank you so much.
Oh,
Joe, this
Thanks
is
for doing this.
wonderful, just wonderful.
Well done.